Yo, what is up, guys? I'm going to be going over and matchmaking UFC 325. Let's get right into it. Main event, Alexander Volkanovski. You know, they just announced Movsar Evloev versus Lerone Murphy. I'm not going to complain too much about this. I think they should have just really given it to Movsar right away. He's not active at all, but, who else are you going to put? This is like a clear definitive one just to get hype built into it, but I feel like you could have put him and Volk for the beginning of the summer and matched up Lerone and Gene Silva, and then it sets up the title shot perfectly because, you know, there's not a lot of guys that can, clearly definitively get the title shot. It's like a very big question, but, I think Volk beats them all, to be honest. I think even, a younger Gene Silva, he beats. I think even these two guys he beats. It's tough. It's like being 37, you have doubts about him, but he's so skilled everywhere. He's so good at point fighting. I think he'll take it against both these guys. But interesting that they made that fight. It has potential to be good. Lerone with the striking, he says that he's going to be way more aggressive in this fight and really try to put damage on Evloev. The wrestling's going to be tough, especially because Evloev has some of the best chain wrestling in the sport. And, people saying that if he could defend the takedowns against Islam, it's going to be easy for him now. But I think it's a little bit different, just being that Evloev has more of a folk style, traditional, wrestling view. And, Islam is just better all around. But I feel like the takedowns of which Evloev possesses, it's going to be a little bit more of a different look. And he's in great shape. That's the thing. I feel like when you get older, you lose your cardio. It's one of the first things you lose. And Evloev is in amazing shape. He could wrestle for 5 rounds. And we'll see it. We'll see it against Lerone, how he looks. But it could be, if Volk can't get him off of him completely and, Evloev is able to just chain it together, I could see him, doing very well. But Volk definitely beats him on the feet. Evloev's boxing is decent, but other than that, he's kind of mid. I think Evloev is going to take it. Lerone's a great fighter, a little older as well, but we'll see. Lerone could, knock him out or put some damage on him. Whatever it is, I'm interested to see it. Not much on this one other than that, great fight. Nevertheless, I think either one of these guys will be entertaining to see Volk fight just because there's a little bit of hype built up because was not happy to see Diego Lopes get the rematch, but hey man, it is what it is. On to the next, Diego Lopes, Yair Rodriguez. I feel like this is a clear fight to make. If they don't make this, they're missing out on such a great beef that they had. Poulon. He said Poulon at the press conference, and that shit was hilarious, bro. The announcer was like, "Oh shit," because these boys were beefing. Lopes wants to be a real Mexican, even though he's Brazilian. Former Mexican here, Dana. But I don't know if you guys have seen that shit either. That shit is top 10 funniest clips in the UFC. But, bro, I really think Diego could win this one, especially just because the boxing inside is good and the grappling. Like, we know Yair is very just... He's trash at grappling, bro. Like, he has some good submissions and, has some tricky stuff on the ground. But, like, just his ground game as a whole is not too good. And... Diego will take this. People forget, man, Diego Lopes developed a mustache at, 30 or something? But, I don't know, man. I think Lopes will take this one. It'll be super fun build up. We're going to need some interpreters on this one if you guys don't speak Spanish. But, it'll be real nice and fun to see. I think this is a good matchup. We need a lot more beef in the UFC. Just, recently there's not been much. That's going to be super fun to see, but I'm going to go on to the next one. BSD, Charles Oliveira. Tell me not this is one of the most banger matchups you can make in the whole UFC. Like, there will be a finish. Benoit Saint Denis to the title, bro. The reason I say Charles Oliveira as well is because I think that Charles is going to lose to Max, and you put Max and Armand together in a fight, and you have Gaethje and Ilya fight, and then the winner of Armand and Holloway fights the winner of Gaethje and Ilya, which will obviously be Ilya. But, BSD, Charles Oliveira, tell me not, even if you think Oliveira's going to win, which I think is the most probable thing, tell me not this is a banger. Like, bro, everything mixed together. The grappling scrambles could be good. I think Charles can submit him not easily, but I think he could do it easily, actually. I think Being that Hinata Makano was able to have his way with him on the ground, I think BSD has insanely good grappling when somebody doesn't have good grappling, because he can just impose his will. He doesn't he takes risk, and he really goes for it on the ground. He's not careful at all. And I feel like obviously that's the worst thing you could do against Oliveira. Like, that's BSD's game. The whole game is just getting people down and just wrestling them and doing damage on the ground. His striking is not that great. His technique is kind of mid. It really is mid. It's trash. And Oliveira's technique is decent. Like, even though obviously his technique is not on par with the guys at the top of the division like Holloway and, Ilya, I think that striking is still good. I think it's that level above BSD's, maybe even another level. And I just really think that Oliveira can find something on the feet, hurt him, and maybe find a submission or whatever it is. I think this is like a banger matchup. I really want to see it. Hey, man, but we need BSD to the title, bro, for Lucas Tracy, bro. God rest his soul, bro. God rest his soul. On to the next one. Dan Hooker, Paddy Pimblett, I hate you, let's die beef. Bro, we just need it. There's not even much to say. This is the battle of the mid, bro. Both of these guys are not that great at this point in time, especially Dan Hooker. He's washed, and the damage he's taken is crazy. Bro, like, these boys might die in here just because the damage they taken. Pimblett wants to return, quick, and I think Dan Hooker's the type of guy that even though he's taking a lot of damage, he'll go back in there instantly and, want to get his get back and shit. But I don't know who takes this. This is interesting. I feel like Hooker's striking is overrated. I think Pimblett will take a better approach in this fight and, go for a takedown. He's not going to try to prove anything anymore. And I think even on the feet, it could be kind of interesting, but I would lean towards Dan Hooker's boxing is really mid. I feel like people really overrate Dan Hooker's striking. It is trash. But hey, man, on to the next. Marcio Rufi, Mateus Gamrot. This is a really tough test for Marcio Rufi, just being that BSD was able to get him down, and I feel like Gamrot's takedowns in general are just better. I feel like BSD might have a little bit more control on the ground and more imposing damage and everything, but I really do think that takedowns-wise, it's going to be really tough for him. On the feet, Rufi will dominate this and really be able to piece up Gamrot, but I think this is the fight that makes sense in the rankings the most, just being that there's not a lot of guys that aren't booked or that deserve this fight. And I feel like Rufi doesn't deserve a fight that's too high up, but he doesn't deserve competition down just because of this performance. You want to build a guy up. I did see some, talks about him and McGregor at the White House. I really don't think that's going to happen. Just, if they want to have a fun fight and have it at 170, I just don't think Connor's going to want to cut to 155. He's been looking way more bulky, but yeah, man, I think this will be kind of a banger. I feel like Gamrot's, striking has improved a little bit. Obviously, it's nowhere close to the level of Rufi's, but he'll make it entertaining on the feet if he is there. And, he'll go for the takedowns. He really just got to shoot a lot of takedowns in this fight. I think I would take Rufi in this one. I just feel like he can improve a lot more. And, there was a time where Gamrot, bro, we were looking at Gamrot for the title. No, I'm just playing. But he was up there, and, hey, man, I'm going to take Rufi. I'm going to take Rufi, bro. By one piece, bro. By one piece. He's Luffy, bro. Rafael Fiziev versus Michael Chandler. Tell me not this is a banger, bro. Let's stop throwing Fiziev to the wolves and give him, like, not a layup. This isn't, like, the most layup fight ever. Just I feel like Michael Chandler has the type of striking, bro, where he could land a good shot on Fiziev. And his straight shots, that right cross. Bro, I told you guys, Fiziev struggles with the right cross, and Chandler has... his striking is so trash too, bro. I'm not going to lie. He throws like he's in a bar fight sometimes, but it'll be interesting to see. Like, you can make this on the White House card if Connor's going to fight somebody different. I feel like, you put this as like featured prelim or the first fight on the main event, on the main card, and it would be a banger. Like, you just put it, this is never going to be a bad fight almost. They're never going to be boring or whatever. It's always fun to see Fiziev fight, and obviously Michael Chandler's always fun to see fight. So, I really would want to see this. Great matchmaking by me, bro. Dana, get me in there. I want to see this, bro. I'm going to call them up. I'm going to email them. I know Hunter just recently took over the matchmaking. So, hey, man, I got this, bro. I got this. Let's make that fight happen. Let's make that fight happen. Tai Tuivasa versus Taco Bell, bro. Dude, you're done, bro. I'm sorry. He either needs to retire or we need Martin fucking Buchecha against him, bro. We need to see the battle of the blobs, or just we're done, bro. Because Cardio's cooked. Even the striking is kind of cooked. Like, he'll have good boxing in the first half of the first round, but tell me not when you see both of two top 15 heavyweights with their hands on their hips, you know that shit is cooked, bro. You know, it's crazy that we were talking about dismantling the flyweight division, and we still like people still try to praise the heavyweight division. This shit is terrible to see. Tai Tuivasa, get your ass back to Taco Bell. And obviously, with all due respect, bro, you know, you're loved, but we need to get on the treadmill, bro. You do not need to weigh in at fucking 3:30 in the offseason, bro. I'm sorry. With all due respect, I actually do like you, but, you know, game plan wasn't good in the fight and cardio was trash, bro. That's all I really got to say, bro. We gotta find something else, but this is not it. Fighting might not be it, bro. We might need to start a buffet, bro. On to the next. Talison Teixeira versus Martin Tybura. Bro, I don't even know how to say his name because he's cooked, bro. This is a whatever matchup, bro. It's just a random blob heavyweight matchup. I feel like both these guys are like middle of the line, not the top skill-wise and not the top cardio-wise and movement-wise, but you could put them up against each other and it's not going to be a bad fight. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not even really much to say about this either. Like, I feel like Talison Teixeira has the build to be a scary heavyweight, but, you know, when you really watch him fight, cardio's not it. Skills are okay. He mixes up the martial arts well, but that's against Tai Tuivasa, which he only boxes. He has no other skills. So I feel like Tybura could give him a good fight. Like, Tybura has a good, well-rounded game as well, but grappling's good. I feel like Teixeira could take this, but, hey, man, this is mid as well. Killian Salikid versus Drew Dober, the battle of the minority killers, bro. Tell me not this is absolute goated matchmaking. This is one of the greatest fights ever created, bro. Just put this on the fucking White House at this point, bro. This is one of the prelims on the White House, bro. It's already announced. I just made this shit, bro. I'm telling you, the minority killers are here, bro. And I don't know. I feel like Salikid will take this, but I feel like Drew Dober will give him some like crafty vet type of shit. Like, I feel like he could really, you know, have a fun and entertaining fight with Killian Salikid. But tell me not this is the greatest matchmaking, bro. I really would want to see this, and it would be fun, bro. Both these guys are always fun. The grappling would be interesting. Striking would be interesting. Whatever it is, it's going to be interesting. Drew Dober's chin, bro. Yo, what the fuck happened? If you look at old pictures of Drew Dober, he did not look like this, but he just randomly grew a chin. Hey, man, that was my matchmaking for this. I'm going to be making, it was really quick. I just wanted to have a quick one for you guys. And, you know, let me know what you guys think in the comments, but thought that was fun. I'm going to make a video on this week's fight night, but I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.